It's the Dev Friday show with Mark and Tim. 'Twas the Dev Friday before Christmas, and that's all you get for $5.
I mean, technically, it's the Dev Friday. It's the Dev Friday after Christmas, but still, I'm not spending another $5 to change that. That's for sure. So, anyway, I just want to say, last week, I bared my soul to Mark. I told him about the game that we play at work. I explained to him the rules of Whamageddon. And I'll say, when I started it, I was concerned. I was like, I wonder if he's going to try to pull this up during the show and play Wham's Last Christmas while we're on the show. And he did not. But then later on that day, I was in I'm trying to think, what meeting was I was in? I was in a meeting. And
you're in a meeting. That's amazing.
It was. I was in a meeting. I'd have to look back to see what it was. I kind of remember the people in the meeting, and I look at my phone. My phone starts ringing, which doesn't happen often, honestly. My phone starts ringing, and I see Mark Coberline. I'm like, oh, my first thought is he never calls me. I wonder if everything's all right. I need to take this to make sure. So I was like, hey, I got to call. Just give me a second. And I didn't even know if I told him I was taking the call because I wasn't engaged in, I was being talked to in that meeting. There were some other things going on. So I swiped the phone up to answer it. And as soon as I do it, in the background, I hear music. I was like, oh no. And that was it. It was Whamageddon's Last Christmas playing in the background. And then I was like, I think my exact words were, you jerk. And there wasn't anything else. Mark didn't say a word. There was just laughter. Just laughter.
It was so amazing. It was great.
Just laughter. And then he hung up. So, and I will say it was, from my perspective, the best way to get whammed during Whamageddon. That was great.
If I would have done it at the end of last show, it'd been a little bit too predictable, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And honestly, I actually forgot about it after the show, and then for some reason, I think it was after I got out of the shower because I have one of those Google Nest displays in my bathroom. I usually play music through it. So I'm in the shower, I'll say, Google, play my Spotify playlist, and I'll play some music. And so I got out of the shower, then it hit me. I was like, oh no, because I was listening to Christmas music.
Yeah.
And Wham didn't come on, but did trigger the memory of us having the conversation about Last Christmas by Wham. And I was like, let me just call Tim right now. It's like right as I finished up, I was right about to leave the bathroom. I was like, okay, let me spin this up on Spotify on my Google Nest display, put my phone next to it and call Tim. Because I had the exact same thought, I never call you. So you would probably be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And something's it must be horrible. So you would definitely answer it. But knowing that it happened in a meeting is amazing.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. No, that was it inspired me, not enough to actually do it, but it inspired me to dust off some old code I have where I can just, from a random number call a person, and as soon as they pick up, it starts playing Last Christmas. It inspired me to want to do that, and then it's just, with everything else going on at Christmas time, I just did not get to it before Christmas, and then after Christmas, what's the point? They've already survived. But
so if anybody's listening to this, and they're wondering what we're talking about here, I would definitely encourage you to go listen to last show when it actually gets online, which
hopefully we'll do today. Hopefully
we'll
today.
Online.
We'll see.
Since I just did push a big batch on the website now, so you could get caught up a little bit here.
Yeah. Some episodes from October and then December, because we had a big November break, which I think everybody takes a November break in podcasts, if I'm not mistaken.
When we eventually get the last show up, you can listen to how the have a little more context about what this Whamageddon Christmas Last Christmas by Wham game is. But without getting into details, we did that a lot last week. Was there a winner of this season's by Wham?
I gotta check that. I don't know.
How did you guys keep track?
It's just a survival. Well, there's this guy on our team. I think I mentioned this last week. There's a guy on our team that has a spreadsheet. He has a spreadsheet for everything. He has a spreadsheet for everything. The spreadsheet contains like how many books are behind you in your background on Zoom. Like, do you have
Really? Are you
a po-
serious?
I am serious. Do you have like a podcast
So
looking
he's like
mic
in
in it
meetings, like with a
taking
spreadsheet
notes?
on one of his modern monitors, and just like kind of making
Uh-huh.
notes about what he
Uh-huh.
sees on.
Uh-huh. Do you have PHP elephants in the background? All that kind of stuff.
Okay.
All that kind of
All
stuff.
right.
So he has that spreadsheet, but he also has a spreadsheet that says when people have gotten whammed or not gotten whammed. And this is what happens when we have a Christmas break.
Aw.
So she's out wandering around. Say hi to Mr. Mark. Yeah. Didn't expect you to be on a podcast, did you? She's like, well,
which one is this?
this is the youngest one. This one is Evangeline Jean.
Evangeline.
Yeah, I gotta say hello to the
So-
mic. Grab the mic.
Yeah, hi.
Oh, that's what we need to do.
Did you have a good Christmas? Hi.
Let's see if we can put her down. Could you go downstairs? Is that possible? This is the best podcast ever, right? We are so professional.
Well, eventually, all you know. What? How many kids do you have now? Eight kids now.
Nine kids.
Oh
now.
my gosh, 9
now.
kids. Oh my gosh, Tim. Are we working on like number 10 for 2025?
What in the world? No. This is not.
Because I was thinking like, wow, 8. I was thinking 8, but they were like, wow, 9.
9, yeah.
Because eventually you're gonna have multiple kids popping on the podcast, like they're just running around like crazy in your house.
Well, they are. We have a sign. I can't both pick you up and then put you down. We have a free range kid sign someplace.
It makes sense.
That says they are free range. But this is an interesting thing. One of the things that we got for Christmas was a big Lego set. It's
I was going to ask you, did you get any Legos for Christmas?
Oh yeah. Everybody got Legos for Christmas. And it's like design your own apartment thing. I don't know. The Lego Friends series.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this one has seven the little minifigs in there. 7 girls and 2 boys, which is exactly our makeup. So
So
I thought that was kind of interesting.
I have an interesting perspective about Legos.
Yeah,
because I do love Legos. And I do have a few of them. I actually prefer now more like the adult sets, the ones I could actually display without somebody walking to my apartment and thinking I'm a kid. So I like the ones that look like
I mean, you could. That's okay.
Like I have the bonsai tree one. I have
I had that one.
It's cool.
The one with it, like they use the. What are they? Like they look like a bunch of little. It almost looks like cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
You got 2. Yeah. My wife got that for me.
I have the Zen garden because those two remind me of Japan, so I like those two. I also have my like a roses. I actually put like in a real vase with like little small little clear plastic blue Legos that act as water. So
the rose ones look really good.
Yeah,
like
so I like ones that actually look at like real objects. Like there's one that looks like an Atari 2600 that I really kind of want. I should just buy it for myself. I should buy a Christmas present for myself. Just get that because I really do want that. 'Cause I have good memories of the Atari 2600. So I'm that could be something I could get. But think about Legos, which I wanted to ask your perspective about, kind of my perspective about it. I actually like looking at Legos way more than putting them together. So do you like the process?
Oh, really? Really?
Yes. I love the design and the aesthetic of Legos, and that's why I love displaying them. But putting them together actually is a little bit of a trial, and actually I drag my feet about it. My kids got me two Lego sets for my birthday, which was in November. I was going to wait. I haven't put them together yet, but I want to because they're going to look cool once they do. But I just drag my feet about putting them together because it feels like work to me.
So you like the idea that this was made out of Lego?
Yes, I like the aesthetic. I love the aesthetic of them, like the design, the aesthetic. I love that. But then the process, when I'm putting them together, I'm thinking, is there some way I can automate this? Like as a developer,
really?
Is there some way that I can make this go faster so I can?
I would say I'm the opposite.
Because do you immediately just tear them down and just put them in a big bin and there's?
I mean, kids they'll only last for a while. I mean, they look really cool.
Yeah.
So if we don't want them to be destroyed by a younger sibling, they have to go on a shelf or something, and you can kind of pull them down and play with them.
Yeah.
But yes, that's actually something we did yesterday. There was one piece. It must have fallen off the table when we were working on it. We're like, well, I know we have this downstairs someplace. Like, if you get this piece, so we started going through our box of unsorted Legos, and that kind of triggered a big Lego sorting. So we're working on getting the Legos sorted so people can kind of put together those kits again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you can find the pieces, you can put the kits together. But I would say I'm the opposite in what I like about it. I like the building.
You like the building?
Yeah.
Because the thing about the building, it's like it is kind
Because
of
like when it's done, it's like, okay, it looks like the box. It's like, to me, it's like a puzzle.
and you're done. Yeah, it's too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, do you follow the instructions, or you just kind of just freehand they put the pieces together the way you think they're going to be put together?
What in the world are you talking about? what is this madness? That is not. Is that allowed? Are there people who do such things?
Because the one fascinating thing about Legos too, which is maybe this is also the aspect that I don't like about it, there is no way to put together them more than one piece at a time. So it's a super manual process that you have to put one piece at a time. And it feels like, to me, it's just, wow, is there some way I could just put a loop around this and just have this automated, like just assemble this a little bit faster?
Is there some place that isn't there? Like, there's got to be some service
AI,
that'll
like
I was just saying, isn't there a service that puts it together for you?
That, well, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's a robot now that has like little little suction cup hands that could like get the pieces and put them together.
I've seen Lego sorting robots that kind of try to identify using computer vision, try to identify the piece and then sort it into the right bin and things like that.
Yeah. So that's my perspective on Legos, Tim.
Really, here's something we had our annual company meeting, and this was in the package.
Is it? Oh, that is a foam burner, a Lego assembled logo.
Yes, it was not assembled. It came in a little bag. And I think we all know the first step of assembling anything Lego, right, is to sort into colors. So that was really difficult.
Yeah. 2 colors.
But no, it was really cool.
Did they do we know the company that they used to do that custom Lego kits?
Let me see. I don't know if I know the company itself. I don't know if I got a link to the actual company, but it was apparently just somebody on Etsy that does that. I think you give them.
Are they official Lego pieces? Or are they kind of the?
Oh no, these are Lego.
Bootlegged.
No, these are Lego
ones. Real Legos, huh?
Yeah. That really impressed me too, because like you can, it's got the Lego, like not the.
Well, that's an interesting business idea. So
but
the
Lego
guy on Etsy, because I know you can source large amounts of Lego from Lego itself, the company.
Yeah, you could just buy bricks.
Buy bricks, and then you could just and then make your own kind of what they call mocks, your own user creations, right?
Is that what they are?
Yeah, that's what they're called.
MOCs.
Yeah, or Lego. It's a mocks. It's mocks, right? Yeah.
I mean, it sounds right. I just don't remember what it stands for, right?
Something I don't know. Their own my own creation. I believe that's what it stands for.
Okay.
I used to go down rabbit holes with like YouTube, like Lego creators, and like watch them, like which that's the other thing too. I love watching people. I love watching people put together Lego. That's kind of a soothing kind of experience, especially if you're watching a YouTube video and they speed it up and you can kind of see like the the
like you want the time lapse 3D printed Lego. Okay,
that's actually pretty cool. I like that, but just if I'm doing it myself, I hate it.
I don't know. That just blows my mind. Like I love seeing, because like you've got like those, like maybe it's a car, like you're saying, the botanical kits have been really cool.
Yeah,
like you're like, I didn't. There's these pieces that you're like, oh, I see where that would be used someplace else. Like maybe this is a Technic piece or something like that, and then you're making it look like a flower. I find it fascinating to put it together and be like, oh, I can kind of see this coming together. And that's to me, that's interesting.
Or also designing. I did that with my class when I was teaching. I showed them there's Mecha Bricks, I believe, or Mega Bricks.
There's CAD programs.
Yeah, there's CAD programs. There's tools that are designed to build your own Lego creations. And I actually did that in my 3D class. No, I'm sorry, it was my interactive design class where we talked about the design of the interface of these applications. And I picked that one because it's pretty kind of
you were critiquing the actual like the Lego CAD programs design.
Yeah, so it was actually an assignment where if you could look at an application, specifically the user interface, without any information at all, and just can you figure out how to use this application just by looking at the icons, the labels, if you have some idea about what it's kind of could do, like, so if you have like some 3D modeling experience, right, figure it out. Is the interface, is it intuitive? Is it provide enough affordance to enable you to know what you should do?
What is
within the
a
application.
what is
Well, when
affordance?
you this is a design term. So when you look at let's say a button or icon, or even if it's just something in the real world, like a handle, like a doorknob, right? So if you look at a
Okay,
doorknob
yeah.
on a handle based on the shape of the doorknob, you have this sense, this idea that you could actually grab hold of it. You could do something with it, right? So
Oh, because you see it, it's like, oh, I see what that is.
yeah. So
So you're
how's it?
talking about
So if an object has a high level of affordance, you could easily intuitively know that you can use it. You can do something with it.
so okay. So let me just try to follow that one just for a second. So like a button that would bring out the type of editing I'm doing, and
Yes.
if the visual on that is a mouse pointer, it's like, oh, that makes complete sense. If I wanted to change my mouse pointer, it would make sense for me to go over and press that button, and it does exactly what I expect it to do.
But it is interesting from a software perspective because you do have to have going into it a level of context awareness around
Mhm.
what that application can kind of should do in order to be able to do that.
Well,
Because
and don't you need the domain of the thing too? Because
yeah,
I would
some domain
imagine
knowledge,
in a Lego CAD software, if I saw an icon or a button that, like, I don't know, had a brick on it, I'd immediately assume I would click that to change what bricks I was laying. If that was the thing I could do.
or maybe turn on the brick tool that would enable you to
Right,
start
right.
placing
Like
bricks
if I
around.
want to do something with bricks, I start hitting that. That's super interesting. Anyway, so you're so we've this is
No, because I thought that was interesting because that from a designer perspective, I
yeah,
actually like tools like that. Like I like
yeah.
3D modeling tools and applications like that. So those Lego CAD style programs are actually pretty cool. You can make your own little creation. So I got into that for a little bit. Because that process actually I like more than actually putting the physical pieces together.
So you like seeing, okay, I can kind of identify a little bit with that side of things, because it's
Yeah.
like once you've like, I'm going to air quote it, right? Once you've solved it and you're like, oh yeah, look, that's what it would look like.
Mhm.
Well, now it's just work to put it together and see it
Yeah.
come together. And I think I could identify it in that context where it's like I've designed the Lego thing and it looks right, and that was the work. Now it's just, I mean, that was what I want to say. That was the problem solving work.
Yeah.
Now it's just tedious work to replicate those moves in real life to get it done. So I can see that, because like we've solved it, now it's just implementation. That's going to be just frustrating and a grind. I think, to me, when I open up a Lego box, I like the process of building because I haven't seen how it goes together, and it's like this is revealing to me. Because like for our older son, got one of the 3-in-1 creates. It's a tiger,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
it's fascinating to see how it goes together. It's like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. And I think, but I didn't put it together. He put most of it together. I rebuilt one of the legs that wasn't quite right, and like somebody was playing with it and fell off. And I can see that after building one of the legs, building the other 3 may become that, like, okay, I've already done this. I've already learned how it goes together because I did one leg. Now I just have to do this same operation 3 times. And it's like, okay, all right, yeah, this is just tedious now. I can see
well,
that.
that I also find in the botanical collection you talked about, which they do use some really cool, interesting combination of pieces, but you do a lot of repetitive
Yes, you do. Yeah.
tasks with those, because to put together the 6 flowers or something like that basically all have the exact same layout, then it's kind of it takes some time. But the reason why I brought the idea about using software, because I think that's probably what the creators on Etsy is using. So your company set them maybe like a SVG, or maybe
Yeah,
some type of
logo, and
vector,
just, I guess,
like
probably load it in there, extrude it,
some type
and
of vector file that they
Yeah.
can load into an application like that, so they can get the pass of the
Mhm.
logo, and then probably use like a CAD Lego style program to basically figure out how many pieces it would take to replicate that logo.
Now when
And
you
then they could order the pieces. And
when
actually,
you played with that, do you build with pieces, or do you like give
we
it
build
the
the pieces.
3D? Okay, but can you give it a 3D object and then be like,
There
piecify it?
there are some plugins for there's a plugin for Blender. Actually, there's
Okay.
a couple of them that actually will do exactly what you just said. So if you have a 3D model and then you want to basically Legofy it
Mhm.
and just have like the basically take almost, so they use like some use voxels. You heard that term? Like it's
No.
basically like use like cubes. like cubes like that are
Okay.
basically could stack. It basically kind of gives more of a geometric kind of Lego look to it. To kind of
Okay.
use like a similar system with Lego bricks. And you can define what type of bricks you want to use, but the base will just recreate that three-dimensional object in like a Lego using Lego bricks within Blender. Right. So
And I guess if Blender can slice it into bricks of a specific size, then you can be like, well, that's just make it a 2U or make it a 2x4 or make it whatever, because you can see that region, because then you're making decisions on strength and stuff. I do know there was a couple revisions from what I heard. So we sent it to the guy, and then on our side, the people who were managing it sent back and were like, hey, we need these to be sharper, because it's a flame logo. So it kept on sending it back and saying, can we figure out how to get more of a point here, get more, and some revisions on that. And they got some interesting pieces, like some of these I've seen them before, but I thought it was interesting use of some of the pieces to make the curves and stuff. And that's, so you're saying the Lego CAD program, there's no free form. You're kind of like virtually placing bricks.
Yeah, that's the whole intent.
Wait, and you'll like virtually placing bricks, but not actually placing
bricks.
True.
Yeah. Like maybe because they can do much faster. I could just copy paste and just do it.
Because once you have a thing, once you have an assembly,
you can just replicate the process, and you can probably even batch it too if you need to. But
do they have like a mirror function?
Oh yeah.
So it is like replicate the same process.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Flip the bricks the other direction. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. It's pretty cool. To do that. But it's also the interesting thing. I think that creator Netsy is using has to be using a program like that for, because in order to accurately recreate a logo in Lego bricks, to figure out which bricks to use and to work out the design. But also, nice thing to do, it'll tell you exactly how many bricks of certain colors, of certain shapes, of certain types that are being used. So then, if you wanted to batch order, let's say if you're making 10 different 10 or 20 different logos, you're going to need to know how many bricks you need to have for that to assemble the kits. But then that program will basically give you all that information.
Yeah. I can't imagine either making those kits.
Yeah. This actually sounds like a fun business, Tim. I think after the show, I may start this business myself. I'm going to get online, going to work up the LLC. I'm going to figure out a domain name. I'm going to go buy the domain name. Mark's Bricks.
Most important part of any business venture is that domain name. Guys, buy it quick. Buy it early. Buy it often.
Don't worry about the LLC. Don't stress about that. Just get the domain name, because once you have the domain name, from the government's perspective, you're set. Well, not really, but at least you can look a little legit.
But I can't imagine like sorting the pieces to figure out like you got to put this many of this.
Oh, that would be a bit of a pain too. Okay, that's part I probably would not enjoy. So once
that's where you big
bags of bricks, and then you're gonna need
because this design here is going to need 2 of those. I don't know what even to call them. They're like the multi-angle faceted. It's like
they have a name. I don't know the name.
Yeah. They look like what you would want on the front of a train. And then you've got a couple of these angle pieces. Each one has 2. Well, that'd be 4 of those curve ramps, and then a bunch of the 2x2s. So I thought I liked how they did this. Using the Technic bricks.
Oh, that's so cool. You can take the little phone off the front of the logo.
Yep, to pop that in there. Pop that in.
Well, that was a super great. Who came with that idea at your company?
I don't know. I mean, I would attribute it to that we've got someone at our company. She pretty much just like manages all this type of stuff. So I'm guessing it was her idea. But I know she at least managed getting it built and working with the Etsy creator. The other thing that was fascinating about it was the instructions were really nice, but I'm guessing those CAD programs, can they help you export step-by-step instructions? Like they felt very similar to Lego, not quite as polished as a Lego.
Well, what you could do with those programs, you could definitely export out PNGs or images of the steps that so maybe I haven't did play with this with the program, so maybe they do have a way to basically do slides or set or kind of snapshots of your model at certain points, and then you could just export those images out for instructions. Probably
like roll back a history, like here's 2 bricks, 3 bricks.
Yeah.
That would be that seems like you'd want that.
Yeah, and then so he has a full-on nicely designed instructions.
It was a PDF. Nice. It was a QR code on the bag. that went to a PDF that pretty much not quite as polished. There's a couple things that weren't quite as polished. Specifically, so because of the some of the bricks on the side. So you got to use I don't know the terms for them, but like the bricks that have studs on the side, you have to use those. And there's a couple places where you actually had to pull one off to put the next piece on, and you would know if it was Lego. They would have had you do like a sub assembly and then add the sub assembly. So it didn't. That's where it was like it wasn't as polished as a normal Lego manual, where they're like, say, put your main piece aside, build this little sub assembly that will push down straight. That's where you could tell. But other than that, I mean, it felt really polished for what it was. I just couldn't imagine the sorting of that, especially since I know we probably got 80 of them or something. Can you imagine putting 80 of those bags together?
Yeah, that's something I would definitely try to outsource that part of the process as fast as possiple.
You'd have a small manufacturing line there, and put two here, pick and place. I mean,
or if I was like you with like 9 kids, I'd pick a couple of my kids. I would take one, but I would say, why not just pick 2 or 3, put them to work?
And this, folks, is how the Industrial Revolution started. With someone saying, "Hey, what if we just had a bunch of children? What if we had children to put in this factory? That would be just fine, I think." Anyway, so
that was good. Like how the rest was the rest besides the Lego building? How was the rest of your Christmas?
It was we had a lot of fun. We do brunch here. We did Christmas Eve with my in-laws the night before. Did brunch here with my brother and his wife and my mom. And then we went out took the kids out to see a Christmas movie. We've been doing that for the past couple of years, so that was fun.
Oh, okay.
They like that. We just pretty much get an entire row in the theater.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting because literally it was a row. I think we got 10 seats. So
that's good. Well, what movie was it?
The best Christmas pageant ever.
The best Christmas pageant. Okay.
It's based on a book from the 70s. So we were excited. I wasn't sure if it would be, because it came out like November. And I wasn't sure it'd still be in theaters, but it was. So we were able to go see it. We kind of held off seeing that one because we wanted to see it on Christmas Day. So
yeah,
it was fun. How was your Christmas?
It was not too bad. A little bit quiet around here. The kids didn't come over to Christmas Day, but what I did Christmas Eve, went up to see my sister in Connecticut. So I liked the drive up there and the drive back. So that was nice. Just a little break to get away. How was
the traffic on Christmas?
Well,
Eve?
Usually because I have to go. We live in Pennsylvania, and we have to drive through Jersey to go up to Jersey, New York, to get up to Connecticut.
Yeah.
So going through Jersey, both there and back, there's always traffic.
There is,
can't avoid that, especially the 287 that goes basically north-south of Jersey. Yeah. So there's always traffic on there. But then once I got out of Jersey, then up in the upper state New York, and then eventually Connecticut was super nice. So that was a nice drive. It wasn't too bad, especially as if you go towards the later in the day, it starts to die down. And the next day, it was a nice drive back. So drive through the mountains of Connecticut. I like that.
Nice.
So did that, and then just had the kids over on Christmas Day, and then so it's been pretty quiet around here, but I like that.
Nice.
Also, my company, I don't know, is your company online after Christmas, or do they take a break between Christmas and New Year's?
There's people that are working, so I've pretty much taken the time off. Been doing things with the kids because it's it's different for us because as homeschoolers, like your winter break is just not doing the school. You're still in the same place. So we try to do fun stuff and just have a relaxing time. So
with all this relaxing time, are you doing any projects?
I should be. There's a couple things I want to. I haven't got to it yet because so Monday, so Christmas, but my kids call Christmas Adam because it's the one that comes before Eve.
Okay.
So
okay.
Little Genesis joke there.
There you go.
Is she? Yeah, I think she is our middle child right now. Yeah, because with 9, there's 4 on either side of her.
I know it's tough to keep track, Tim. If I was you, man, I'd be lost.
It was her birthday. And we had a big so we did a Christmas puppet show at church Sunday. So everybody was kind of, that was the big project with a lot of different things that we were doing even up to the end. So Monday was her birthday. She wanted to go to the Wine Missing Bakery, which is they kind of like do a breakfast brunch buffet type thing. So we figured we'd take everybody as kind of like a post all the work that we did for the Christmas puppet show breakfast. So we took them all out. That was fun. And then since it was her birthday, once we got back here, we had some cake, and then we took her out. And I think, we didn't go anywhere to eat. We just took her out because at that point we had a lot of food. She saw Moana too, so she liked that. So that was Monday, and then Tuesday was Christmas Eve, and then Wednesday was Christmas, which was here and then out. And then yesterday we built some Lego and then started organizing some Lego, and we got some more of that to do today. So yeah, it's been, not been work like the normal work stuff, but there's other things going on.
Maybe after the show, I'll be inspired to finally open up those 2 boxes of Legos I got for my birthday, and I have to start putting them together.
You should. You should.
I gotta get work on that. And also, like I told you, I was starting talking about, there are a couple cool Lego sets that I do want to have, mostly just for displaying. They have the Atari. I don't know if you've seen the Atari 2600 one, and there's also a Pac-Man, like the small little arcade kind of a
like a actual machine.
And they're really cool because they actually are a little bit functional. They're not the Atari 2600, even though I think they do a pretty cool job with the cartridges and and you could actually put them into the console.
Oh, wow.
There. But in the Pac-Man arcade machine they have little sliders. You can kind of move the characters around, like little ghost characters and the Pac-Man character around. To kind of have a little bit of functionality within it. So I'm kind of fascinated by that too. So that part of putting together the machine, or putting together a Lego piece, if it does have functional parts.
I see that. I see that. That's
because I like seeing how that's put together from an engineer perspective. So I kind of like that part of the process putting together.
But they've got like a mini Pac-Man with the Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Like there's a tiny Pac-Man. I'd be like, I'll take the tiny Pac-Man because the big one looks. That's a bit pricey there. Wow.
Yes. So those are 2 Lego sets I could actually see like displaying on my shelf. It would look pretty cool because I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember playing that Pac-Man machine. Well, I remember playing Pac-Man a ton when I was a kid.
Right.
But the Atari 2600, I have some good memories of that. So
I should bring it. So Atari, I'm just looking at it right now. You were talking about the mocks, right? Like their own creations.
Yep.
There's whole like websites where people are rebuilding, and it's like, hey, if you have this kit and this kit and this kit, this is what you can make with it. That's a fascinating kind of. It's not really a second market, but like that concept of like add-on or additional designs.
I saw some really cool, because you could buy some of the basic castle sets that they have, or even the basic like pirate ships, and like if you buy like 2 or 3 of them, they'll have like the people make like designs of how to combine all of them to make one huge castle, one huge pirate ship, and so that would be kind of fun. But even if I say fun, I don't know, probably wouldn't be fun to put together. But I do like the aspect of like you're talking about here. So taking something that probably wasn't initially designed and then refactoring it to be something new or something bigger. I kind of like that. So I would be more fascinated in putting something like that together.
That Atari looks great, man.
I know. It looks amazing.
It looks like I did not do a lot of Atari. I had like family.
Were you a Coleco?
No, I didn't have one of those. Like we didn't have one of those fancy.
You were just a Mac, kid. Right? Because we talked about that. You had a Mac as a kid, right? That's
Apple, yeah.
Apple IIe,
Apple IIc Plus,
2C.
I don't remember what the other ones were. Like the first computer I really remember was just a PC of some kind. And then not like it wasn't even a manufactured one. It was put together by somebody. Like we got it from a guy that we knew that built computers because that's what you did back then. So I don't. Yeah, I remember a little bit of the Apple, and a bit of the frustration of trying to get any software for it because you had to go down to the Mac store to buy the approved software that you could only get from one place and all that kind of fun stuff. But I remember the Atari console at some family members' houses. And that looks really, really accurate.
Yeah, it was that. Well, that's a nice thing because the design of that console fits Lego perfectly.
It
And so
does.
because of the
It
pieces.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
It's
the design of the cartridges that they have, and then you could actually put the
Mhm.
cartridges a little bit functional. You can put the cartridges into the deck, and so it looks fun. But yeah, think about the first computer. I think I've told you about this before. Like my first computer was the Tandy. Remember Tandy?
I do. Yeah.
Tandy, which was it was basically kind of the design was kind of similar to one of the first Apples, where it was just basically the keyboard and the computer built into one piece, and then you plug that
Yeah.
into a display, like a CRT TV.
Yeah.
And so that, yeah, I love that. It was cool. I actually had that. I upgraded the memory on that. Even I think I even swapped out the hard drive. That was actually also my first computer I actually started to hack on and started to replace parts on. Like go to computer shows, feel like, okay, I want to upgrade the memory from maybe 2 megabytes
And you could?
to 8. I think maybe I got. Maybe
I didn't
8 was
realize
pushing
you
it.
could do that there.
Oh yeah, because it was
Wow.
really user friendly. You could just slide off the top of it, and you could see the insides of it. I know I upgraded the hard drive and the memory. I didn't swap out the CPU or anything like that, but because everything else was kind of soldered in, and you couldn't really get too much. But I knew you could.
How do you kind of solder it?
Well, it was like the graphics chip was they had graphics chips at the time. Out of maybe just the single processor.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything else was kind of maybe you could have swapped out the CPU, but I don't know. I didn't try that because I was too young for that. But yeah, but that was my first experience of kind of getting into hacking on computer hardware and taking it apart and taking the pieces out, trying to go to a computer show and trying to find something that it could work in it. And yeah, that was a good experience. And then I upgraded to from the Tandy to it might have been what you're talking about, more of like those kind of PC. I think we just then once I got to the computer shows, started putting together computers, buying the cases, putting together.
Yeah, because at that point it could be PC compatible, whatever they call it, IBM compatible. Yeah. And then you had back, what was it, the compacts and the Packard Bells, which were the kind of consumer, accessible brands. I feel like they were more accessible than Dell.
My sister bought me an Acer.
Yeah.
There's one other computer that I didn't put together that I think might have actually been after the Tandy. It was before, but I really hacked that one up. So it was an Acer, kind of pre-made Acer computer that she got me and was in high school. It was like for like a graduation present. And so I got that one. And then after that, then I really just pretty much put all the computers together. Those good times, Tim.
And we're back. I mean, we're back to the same thing, right? Like now, if you can grab I forget what it is, the Raspberry Pi, that's a keyboard with a Raspberry Pi in it, and you just have to hook in your display.
It's true.
And that's essentially what you're talking about. Only can't really upgrade. Well, I mean, you can. You've got the hard. I don't know if those ones expose like the GPIOs, and if you can add additional accessories to it, but.
Well, they have no, I don't think you could add accessories inside, but they have the I don't know what's the Raspberry Pi the port,
the GPIO,
yeah, they have that as behind the keyboard.
So that's right. So you could put your hardware attached stuff on the back of it. Yeah. So that's this version of it. That's our modern version of it. Here's a computer and a keyboard. So
but besides Atari, what was your first gaming console though you played with?
Oh, gaming.
Yeah.
Well, I never had a console growing up. It was just PC games.
Just PC games?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think the first console I've ever had was the Nintendo Switch.
Okay. Which that was interesting. The Switch. Switch. Okay, I'm thinking. Now, in my mind, I was going Nintendo 64.
No, Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch. We got that for the kids a couple years ago now, and they still play with it. So
yeah. I still do it myself. I have it plugged in my bedroom. It's behind my TV. I always keep it plugged in.
Yeah. We've got different kids like different things. One of my daughters, I still got to figure out how to get it working. As soon as we upgraded her computer from a Surface Go, is that what it was? Not a Surface Go laptop, but I think like a Surface Go. They're really. I don't know what I want to say. Low end. It's not. That's what it is. Like, is there affordable? Not the Surface Pro. But we upgraded that to a Surface Pro for her because it's her and she's the second oldest and the oldest. And since I did that, she had Age of Empires that would actually run on Steam on the Surface Go, but it gives some weird error on the Pro because it doesn't understand that it can run. It wants it. It's one of those things where the game wanted some special instruction sets right on the processor, and it's so old it doesn't realize that processors don't have that anymore, and it's okay. So there's some patch I have to install on it so it'll run Age of Empires. But she likes those type of games, and I don't know, is there like the Command and Conquer, Red Alert, those that Age of Empires? They're still for sale on Steam.
Yes, they are.
What's the new what's the current RTS? Because that's those were all they were different variants, right? Command and Conquer was very much about the warfare, about like building your base and creating the pieces. That Age of Empires is a slightly different take, but it's a similar concept. What's the modern version of that?
But you're talking of like the classic kind of historical,
RTS
real time strategy
RTS, yeah.
Well, RTS as a genre, I think, is kind of, I would say,
has it faded?
I don't think it's faded or died, but then we'll see a couple that pop up. There's like a what's called Human, I think, or something like that. That was kind of a modern one that kind of came out a few years ago. A modern take. Civ is still rolling. I think they're coming out with a new.
But Civ. Is Civ still turn-based? Like when I played, and I don't think she likes
real time. Yeah, it's not real time.
I think she likes the RTS. Yeah, because the turn-based it slows you a little bit too much.
Yeah, there are some that pop up here and there, some new ones, but they don't get a lot of traction in a sense. They don't really get a lot of attention.
Gotcha. I just was surprised because
even for me, I'll just maybe I'll try them, but then I'll just go back to, because when you talk about Age of Empires. Or even just some of the Command and Conquer versions, or but I also always go back to just like StarCraft. If I was going to play like World of Warcraft 3 or StarCraft, I would just go.
I've never those. I'm not familiar with those. So
something like more sci-fi or fantasy based,
but still RTS.
But if I want to go more of a historical real time strategy, I would just go back to Age of Empires.
Okay, that's what it seems like. I searched for it and they're like, oh yeah, you can still run Age of Empires. Yeah. We're still selling like the deluxe version, which packaged all the expansions together, and it's like $6 on Steam.
And the one thing about those games too, especially I think the last one I played was Age of Empires 4. I believe that was the latest one, which they remastered or whatever. I don't know. To make it.
That's the one she's playing. Yeah,
run on monitor. But the art style of those games are also kind of timeless. That's why I could always go back to them. Because it doesn't have like a kind of old dated look. It has like a nice artistic aesthetic to it. It feels like it you can play at any time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because some especially the early 3D games, they were super polygonal, super pixelated, jaded, jagged edges around like every one of your objects and shapes you saw in the game. Those looked super old. And
played some of those FPS games from way back, and you're like, wait, what? We played this?
Yeah, but the games are more kind of top down or isometric, or have kind of a sort of a even though that you could definitely see it has like a 3D look to it, but maybe aren't really, and maybe are still rendering polygons behind the scenes, but they just have the way they're rendered with the textures and the I think it's also just the perspective of it. It just feels like you could always go back to it. I'm
waiting for it because we haven't talked about it for probably a couple shows now. I'm waiting for us to get back into Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Have you been dabbling with it? I know you started playing with it a little bit, but
I looked at it because is there an open source? Now I don't even remember. It's like
it's
open source version.
It's open RC. It's open RC.
Okay,
but you need to own the official game to actually install that open source version of it.
Okay, and you can get, I think you can get Roller Coaster Tycoon on Steam still.
Yep.
I think,
which
blows my mind.
Well, it blows my mind too that they've made it for almost any platform now too. So on phones,
they've
Android, iOS,
ported it over.
They ported it over, so they have like running a basic probably as an emulator that they have to. Because
that would make sense.
Because they would have to do it through an emulator because the way that was programmed was using assembly for the x86 instruction set.
And then at this point, like you can, like computationally, there should not be much of a barrier to running an x86 emulator of that power and capacity on your phone. Like that's not hard.
So that's probably why they can port to everything, because they just run out from it like an emulation.
So this is what's keeping the games running, is the fact that it's really easy on any hardware now to pretend you were old hardware.
Yeah, it is. It's true. Did you ever get into that? I know that's a little bit of a gray area, with the emulators and the ROMs.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I know it is. 'Cause you're talking about like the console emulators too.
Yeah, the console emulators. Yeah.
Yeah, like the old NES and whatever else. Yeah,
And technically, as long as you own the cartridge, Tim, it's legit.
that I mean, it is right because but you could see the interesting legal arguments about what you're doing.
Mhm.
How did they extract the ROMs from the cartridges? Did
That's a
someone
process
have
I
to
don't
pop
know.
the chip off and like because it's like got to be like some programmable memory or
I
something?
don't. You probably probably YouTube that. If there's probably some creators who've
Yeah.
gone through the process. I haven't gone that deep into that from a technical standpoint, but
Yeah, it's just fascinating thinking how you'd get it off of the cartridge. Never thought of much about that.
so yeah, I used to get at that a little bit. I'd have like I wouldn't play them that much, but just as a reference point, just kind of like go back every now and then, kind of boot one up and just kind of play for like 5 minutes was kind of an interesting kind of experience.
It's a lot easier than like having an old NES
Mhm.
system, and then have to blow in the cartridge, have to do all the fun stuff in there just to play those games.
Well, even just from one of the extra few cartridges I do have, because I actually bought it from eBay. One of my favorite games as a kid was Paperboy. You play Paperboy?
I remember. Again, I didn't have the console when I was a kid, but I
It was in the
remember.
arcade. I first played it was in the arcades.
Oh,
So it was a really cool arcade setup because you walk up to it. It has like that, like a BMX style kind of like bike.
did it
handle
really? I didn't.
that was on top of that. You could you had to like move it back and forth and ride it and like pull back for like the brakes and push it forward to go forward. It was a really cool kind of user interface.
You just throw the papers, right? Like I kind of remember this.
You had to avoid like dogs, cats, cars running into you.
Yeah, I remember.
Drones.
I remember playing this or seeing my cousins play this and trying to play it. But it's just like an endless runner, right?
You could kind of look at that way,
concept,
because once
right?
you get going, it's built on this, or it runs based on the speed of the bike, right? So you can make it go faster, slower based on how you're moving the bike. But it basically is like a isometric kind of style, top down, where the scenes move. Basically, the scene's probably moving, and the bike's kind of like staying mostly, I think, in the center of the screen, I believe. And then you're kind of trying to navigate everything around.
Could the viewport move past you? Because some of those games, it's like the viewport is moving. So if you stopped the bike, it would stop. It wouldn't kind of push you.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't push you. Yeah. So that's the whole thing. But everything else in the scene would keep going. So if you stopped, there would be a car that would run by, or a lawnmower that would come towards you. So it would eventually, if you stopped, something would hit you.
Gotcha.
The game would
Gotcha.
end. But it was cool. Like you go through this neighborhood, you would like chuck the newspapers. Because also I have good memories. Were you a paperboy as a kid, Tim?
We lived in a rural enough area that no, I was not a paper boy. Though there was a couple times I covered the route for my cousins, which was an interesting exposure. Yeah.
So I grew up in a little bit of a suburban neighborhood, so it was like, delivering papers was a thing. So I was I remember playing Paperboy as a kid, and then became a real Paperboy. So I thought I liked the connection. So I bring this up because the one of the few cartridges I have.
There you go. But here you go. Video games prepared you for real life.
It would be, and it also interesting hobby type project, which once again, a million of these I never did before. But it'd be effective if I could try to recreate part of that game, just as like more using kind of more modern style, kind of a polygonal art, just to kind of recreate part of it. So I got the cartridge, and I was like, oh, just kind of have it on my desk, and it was kind of just fun to look at. So maybe my dream is to recreate Paperboy in a modern style.
You'd want to do it in a modern style. You wouldn't want to kind of do it in like a retro.
No,
like still clean, but like a retro.
That's what I meant, as in like more of
gotcha.
a modern kind of cleaner polygonal, So. Because it was just used with it was.
Because I'm trying to think of some of the games that are like that now. One game we've played, it's been collaborative. We've not really gotten into it much just because it's hard. I think now with the older girls we could probably do it. On the Switch is. Have you ever played Overcooked?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Overcooked?
Game. Yep.
Yeah. It's tough because when you're playing with, say, younger kids, the coordination of like you just gotta move.
Well, it's part of the fun of it. It's like getting frustrated with the people you're playing with because they're not delivering the buns to the right station fast enough for when you're assembling the hamburger. Yeah,
that's right. Like figuring in that kind of self-organization of like who's gonna do what because we can't all do the same thing.
Yeah.
But that has that feel, if I recall correctly. I've not played it for a while, but it has that kind of isometric feel, but with modern and up-to-date you know,
Yeah, that's style.
yeah. So cool. Well,
Well,
this is a
Tim, hopefully we're able to do a New Year's show because I didn't want to. I
okay.
know you are a huge fan
Fan of New Year's
of
resolutions.
New
Yeah,
Year's
yeah,
resolutions,
I
but
am.
and I didn't want to talk about that this show.
No.
But maybe what we could do for this show, if you could look back at 2024 as we come to the end of this year, what do you?
And the end of this show, because we've
Yes,
got like 9 minutes
maybe
left.
from since we're even though we talk very little about developer topics on the show. What can you look back at like the past year, maybe that either you were impressed by or that you were maybe from a work standpoint that you took away and you kind of like, oh, that was actually a real good thing that we accomplished, or something that that happened over the past year? Is there anything you kind of can look back at and say, yeah, it was from that, looking at that one thing that's pretty impressive?
This would have been a great question to share with me before the show. Like I mean, like in the list of questions that would have been good to know about. This one would have been it. Looking back over 2024, what would I say? I mean, good. I'll say. Do you have one?
Well, okay, I could talk. Well, I could talk a little bit because it kind of rehashes a lot of what from our shows. If you think back, we're show 90 now or 89. We're on 89. We're not on 90. Next, our New Year's show will actually be.
No, this is 90. This is 90.
This is 90.
This is 90
Even
because
though
I haven't uploaded last week's,
So
or
on
I
Restream
haven't.
it just says 89, but that you said that's.
I changed it and it didn't update
Okay.
your side. So yeah,
Got it.
no, this is episode 90.
So over
the
90
last
shows,
Christmas Friday,
which is amazing, Tim. And we're coming close to 100. We're gonna have to do, like I said, we have to do this in person for episode 100.
Do we?
I need to come to the Lido farm, and we need to have like an on the farm podcast for the episode 100.
Just set up a table like with there'll be pigs and chickens all around us.
Yes.
And okay, all
And,
right.
and all of your 9 kids just like huddled around us. It'd be amazing.
There we go. Okay, yeah.
But think about a topic that we talked about during 2024 was my transition out of academia to back to the industry. And if I look back at the past year in regards to that was a pretty big change, and it's been like pretty much a whirlwind. I know the other changes that some may know about, the personally wise, that we'll go into now, that was also a big change. But just from a professional standpoint, that was going from the academia back to the real world, back to the industry, so I can be a real employee again, I would say, and not teach, but actually produce stuff. Was like a big transition, big change. But also getting back into the industry, working with teams, working in a company, which is topics we've been talking about.
Yeah.
On many shows. It's been a really great experience, and pretty happy, from a professional standpoint.
As I think about the last year, let me think. One thing, though I know you probably can't tell it from how long it takes me to get an episode up, I feel like I've finally got the using AI to. I mean, the show note, there's that the table of contents are pretty ridiculous. Honestly, it'll give you an idea if you a hint at the topic, but they don't necessarily match. But the summaries are usually pretty good. I don't have to think about it much. I can just have those generated. I want to automate some more of that now that it's kind of in a. That's like the process, right? Like before you can automate it, it has to be a repeatable process. And I think I've got it to the point where it's almost a repeatable process, so I can automate that. So I've from a show perspective, I think that happened in the last year, at least refining that to where I feel comfortable saying, oh yeah, this is pretty much I do this, then this, then this, then this, and this, and it's done.
So I was thinking that would be kind of your answer, because maybe you've been pretty good about this more than I have. Because actually, I've stepped away. We talked about this. I've stepped away from using AI as much. When I was teaching, I was using it all the time.
Yeah.
Like to generate content that I could use within my courses, just example content, and sometimes assignments that I could kind of easily pump out. I love doing it for that. But as I transitioned back into developing, kind of working, even though I use it here and there from a very general aspect to kind of learn if I'm trying to learn a library or framework, but I do less of it from a code generation standpoint. But if you are pretty good about kind of finding AI or uses of AI that you can kind of streamline your personal workflow.
Yeah. So there's that on the show. I mean, this isn't work, but I have, and just like this has been done it for a year now. I've used it to prepare kind of a reading schedule for Sunday school, and every week. So every week fed it like, hey, here's passages, come up with like interesting questions, and it's not as fluid a process where I can even see how to automate that. It really does require it's like AI as a, I don't know what we want to call it, virtual assistant, research assistant.
Yeah, I was saying teacher's assistant. That's what I would look at it as.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not at the point where I could, though I've there's certain parts of it where I've wondered, could I say, as long as you use this prompt with the data that's unique to this question, and then when it comes back, actually just ask it a couple things, because sometimes you can ask AI, especially if I'm having it split passages and stuff like that. I wrote a bunch of code that understands verse references and can do counts and all that kind of fun stuff for that process, which has been super useful. So I can be like, hey, I asked you to divide this into 5 roughly equal readings, and it is not. Like day one's like 20 verses, 20 verses, 20 verses, 200 verses. That you didn't do it. And I can kind of see how if instead of using, say, ChatGPT directly, or even like Claude's chat interface, you can kind of see how I could use their APIs to automate some of the work. So I hope now going forward in 2025, as I do some similar things, I hope to be able to do that in a similar way. So we'll see how that goes.
One of the questions I was asking my students before I was leaving, because one of the thought experiments I was kind of doing with them, I can't remember which course it was. It was one of my second year courses that I was teaching. But I asked the students, could you foresee, especially students who are actually using AI for writing, helping them write papers or helping to kind of augment, some of their courses, could they see like a future course that they would take be driven by AI? So that, let's say, once it got better at asking questions or answering questions, and let's say the AI could just output content for you for a course that would be very much modeled after your current level going into the course. Because that's one of the big challenges of teaching, any, course or class where like students come in from different perspectives, different knowledge bases, and trying to meet everyone where they're at in a broad classroom perspective.
Right.
It's very challenging. But I always thought, could an AI classroom that's very directed towards each individual student, and then could also understand the knowledge level of each individual student, maybe by, maybe some introductory quizzes or tests they could probably take to kind of test some of their knowledge, could then they provide more tailored content and more tailored instruction, and would students be comfortable taking a course like that? And what you just mentioned, possibly not, because maybe unless students know the right questions to ask, or they know the right kind of, I don't know, maybe because the more the more context that you bring to the AI, the more that you could also, like, say, fill in the gaps of which those areas that cannot be animated or automated, or that are those gray areas that you need to kind of help the AI along. It's still not there yet.
But it could be, and I think we're kind of wrapping it up. We've got about a minute left, but I could see it being that teaching assistant where, like, if you said, hey, here's the context, and it is this book or this topic or this, then instead of having to field like some say questions from students yourself, you may be able to use that to be like, well, you can ask the AI teaching assistant some of these questions. It'd be interesting to see, like, but the content tailored specifically. That'd be interesting. We've actually stepped from a homeschooling perspective. I think it was the last school year, I really set like a schedule around history that I leveraged AI to build. We've done less of that this year and just used it as kind of that teaching assistant. Give us a set of books, give us a set of other resources, and then we will work those in. So I don't know, be interesting to see what next year brings.
Well, Tim, I think 2024 was a good year. We're going to look at it as a good year, even though there's many challenges. The world faced many challenges. I faced many challenges. We're going to look at 2025 as an even better year, and maybe AI will help us get there.
Maybe. So,
or maybe what you could use AI for our next show. help you generate some New Year's resolutions.
Oh, that's it. All right. Yes. Next year's a New Year's resolution show. I will ask AI all it knows about Mark. Actually, you got a ChatGPT account, right?
I do. Yeah.
Ask it 2 questions. Ask it to generate an image of what it thinks you look like based off of what it knows, and 10 resolutions.
There you go.
Have you done that yet?
No. Wait, ask it to generate an
Yeah, yeah.
So, oh wait, now
Because
that's kind of creepy though.
Because it has history. Yeah.
All the conversations. So generate an image of me based on all the conversations that we've had. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had to do that for me.
Wow.
And it was fascinating what it thinks my life looks like.
How much it's because I've gone on and off the pro account for a while.
But I would guess as long as it's your you're just changing your subscription, but it's the same account.
I have the same account, yeah. So wow, I'm looking at this back to January 2020. Oh my gosh, you're right. Wow, I didn't even think about all the conversations that I've had with it.
Yeah,
this is scary, Tim.
There you go.
Because usually what I do, this will be a good this will be a good topic of conversation for next time. Because what I do personally is I actually wipe out my history on YouTube. Like every 3 months, because also I kind of feel like it gets to be a little repetitive, the suggestions it makes to me.
They just keep,
but I never thought about wiping my history on ChatGPT, just even for like security standpoint. I don't know. It's like it knows so much about me and what I've asked it. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll do that. So I won't wipe my history, and I'll experiment with that. We'll see what.
I'll have to find it. Like, I don't remember. I'm trying to search for it, and it doesn't. Their search to their chats. Like if I just search for, I don't know, their search of chats isn't great, but I did it a couple months ago and it was really interesting. I'll send you exactly the prompt.
Okay.
And let's see, switch to LV Tech. We're still live, by the way. This is the
all right, so I'm gonna do it live with you, but I'm not gonna tell you what it is. You're gonna see my reaction.
So based on what you know about me, draw a picture of what you think my current life looks like. And
it says, I don't yet have enough information about your life to create accurate representation. If you'd like, you could share some details such as hobbies, daily activities, surroundings. So it did not do it for me. It just says it does not have as much information. You have to tell me. I have to tell it as hobbies, daily activities, and surroundings. So maybe that's because I'm mostly just asking like technical questions. And maybe the past a lot, and even my academic when I was teaching, it was more just a lot of technical information I was asking to do. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it doesn't. Still, that's
my current life looks like. Oh, my current life.
Yeah, I will send that, and I'm gonna do another one right now and see what it says to me because I have the one from a couple months ago.
Is there something in my profile I need to enable it to use the past history as part of its reference?
I don't know.
Maybe something I have turned off or something like that. I don't know. I'll have to look at the settings.
Oh, I'm on Plus, $200 or $20 a month. I could go to Pro. That's $200 a month.
Oh God, but geez, are you serious? That I have multiple plans? Like,
yeah. You can get with the Pro model, you get access to with the Pro account, you get access to apparently some new models, and then extended access to Sora video generation, which I haven't even played.
Oh, with yet. Okay, then maybe I can understand too. If you're going to be generating video for at 200, okay, maybe because video stock video can be kind of pricey. So, I just said the Plus. $200 a month. Wow, that is that. What in the world? You have to use that for your business somehow. Be justifying that.
Yes. So interesting. They changed it a little bit.
One thing too I heard about, which I like I said, I haven't been watching much YouTube lately, but maybe something we could talk about later is that the 03 model, they're just coming. It's not out yet, but it's coming out or something like that. So it's going to be ChatGPTs, and people are like saying, "Oh, it's like this is like the AI that could be, what's the word? Not sentient,
AGI.
But, AGI, yeah." So I'm hearing some ramblings on YouTube about that, but yeah,
it's not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, just as we talked about, it's like, yeah, it's not. Well, that's why I stepped away from using for programming, because I still see issues. I'm like, I still see like programming issues I have to go back and fix. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's a tool. It works.
Yeah.
I find it works great in the context of Copilot when you're doing things and it has code to borrow from.
yeah.
It's like, to me, the best description I have it for it is like the next version of IntelliSense or whatever you call that autocomplete thing.
Yeah.
Because it knows what I'm like, and it pulls from the tabs you have open. So if I'm doing some refactoring, it'll really pick up on that quick, and it'll make that go fast. But like, if you just tell it to write something, it writes some pretty convoluted code.
Yeah. Or just example. The example code is good from a like a teaching standpoint. And actually, I like, because it actually does a pretty good job giving comments around the code and to kind of talking through it. So it is a good reference point. I think it's good. But yeah, if you're trying to integrate that code into something real, it's yeah.
Is my dummy fixed?
I don't know yet. I don't know if your dummy's fixed. So.
Is that her puppet? Her dummy?
No. Have you seen Dummy 13?
Dummy
It's
13.
like a 3D.
No. Let me open up the screen big there. Oh, look at that
3D printed articulating model.
Why didn't you give me that for Christmas, Tim? That looks freaking cool. Did you print that yourself?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
got
We should talk about that.
We should.
That's like a little action figure you made for yourself there.
Yep. So I made some for the kids too. They obviously fell apart almost immediately. But yeah, that'd be a fun thing to talk about, especially since the guy
that looked pretty polished too. That looks like,
oh, it's a good model, and he didn't.
Did you have to sand that to smooth out the edges? Because for all the joints that are moving in that, or did it come out clean?
No, it comes out pretty clean. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's a really good model. The guy did not click on the can't use this for commercial purposes. Like, his license is open.
Yeah.
So you can buy them on Amazon.
Wow.
People offshore are obviously printing them. And
I was, God, we should talk about this next week. But
Yeah.
but okay, we'll end here. But like, I was one of the things I was also walking through, and there was an event at the South Mall. It was like a sort of a crafter maker kind of. They had that's what they. But I was amazed by so many like 3D printed,
I know,
like assembled pieces. But I know there's so many of them. But I was impressed that they actually are looking super clean now. Which
they are.
I was not. I've been out of the loop of 3D printing for a while, and I'm actually pretty impressed with how clean everything's coming out now. So.
Yep.
Even though everybody was doing the exact same thing, so you walk to multiple booths.
How many articulating?
Like snakes or dragons.
You need,
yeah.
So, all right, but no, the bamboos are great if you want a little bit more. I don't know. Configurability, the Prusas. Yeah, there's a lot of it's pretty good. It's pretty good anymore. So we can talk about that next time.